Dr. Zephyrian's crystalline appendages clicked dismissively against his workstation as he reviewed the latest batch of species profiles from the Galactic Council's Xenobiology Department. The Altarian scientist's compound eyes gleamed with condescension as he pulled up the file marked Homo sapiens, Sol System 3rd Planet. "Look at this pathetic specimen," Zephyrian announced to his colleague, Dr. Vexhai, whose serpentine form coiled around a nearby data terminal. "They call themselves the dominant species of their world, yet observe these laughable physical characteristics." The holographic display materialized above their shared workspace, rotating slowly to show a three-dimensional human figure. Zephyrian gestured with obvious disdain at the projection. No natural armor plating, no venomous secretions, no electromagnetic sensory organs. Their bite force measures a mere 162 pounds per square inch. My juvenile offspring could exert more pressure. They cannot even regenerate lost limbs. His translated voice carried the unmistakable tone of scientific superiority that had made him famous throughout the Altarian Academy. Dr. Vexhai's heat-sensitive pits flickered as she examined the data. Their running speed peaks at roughly 28 standard units per time cycle, quite sluggish compared to most predatory species, and these laughably short lifespans, barely a century at maximum. "Precisely," Zephyrian continued, his excitement building. "Yet somehow these fragile creatures claim to have conquered their entire planet. I suspect significant embellishment in their application for council membership. No species this physically inferior could possibly achieve global dominance without fabricating their achievements." The two scientists shared what passed for laughter among their respective species, Zephyrian's high-pitched harmonic resonance mixing with Vexhai's subsonic rumbling. Their research station, orbiting the neutral zone between council space and the recently contacted Sol system, hummed with the quiet efficiency of advanced xenobiological analysis. "Perhaps we should examine their historical records more thoroughly," Vexhai suggested, her forked tongue testing the air currents for chemical information. "If we're to recommend their council application status, we need comprehensive data." Zephyrian's enthusiasm dampened slightly. Historical analysis required tedious cross-referencing and cultural interpretation, work he considered beneath his expertise in pure biological sciences. "Very well. Begin with their most recent millennium. Surely that will provide sufficient evidence of their limitations." The first files that materialized caused both scientists to pause. The human record spoke of something called the 20th century, and the data streams flowing across their screens seemed almost incomprehensible in their scope and brutality. "This cannot be accurate," Vexhai whispered, her scales shifting to a darker hue, a physiological response to stress among her people. "These casualty figures, surely there's been a translation error." Zephyrian's compound eyes focused intently on the numbers scrolling past. 66 million deaths in a single conflict? And they call it merely the Second World War, implying at least one previous engagement of similar magnitude. His crystalline appendages trembled as he cross-referenced the data with multiple sources. The deeper they delved, the more disturbing the picture became. The humans hadn't just engaged in one or two massive conflicts. Their entire recorded history appeared to be an unbroken chain of warfare, innovation driven by military necessity, and technological advancement spurred by the endless creativity of organized destruction. "Look at this weapon development timeline," Zephyrian said, his voice lacking its earlier confidence. "They progressed from simple chemical explosives to nuclear fission weapons in less than a century. The energy output calculations, these devices could sterilize entire continents. But it wasn't just the weapons that unsettled the alien scientists. It was the context surrounding them. Humans didn't merely fight. They adapted, improvised, and overcame obstacles with a tenacity that defied their biological limitations. Study this engagement designated Stalingrad, Vexhai commanded the computer. The holographic display shifted to show ruined cityscape, temperature readings far below most species' survival thresholds, and tactical analyses that made both scientists recoil. They continued fighting in conditions that would kill most council. Species within hours, she observed, her voice barely above a whisper. For months. Urban warfare in sub-freezing temperatures with limited supplies. And not just professional military units. Their civilian population participated in combat operations. Zephyrian pulled up additional files with increasing desperation, hoping to find evidence that would restore his initial assumptions. Instead, each new revelation painted a more disturbing picture. The humans called it the Battle of the Somme, 60,000 casualties in a single day, and they continued fighting for months afterward. They spoke casually of trench warfare and no man's land, as if prolonged combat in horrific conditions was simply another environmental challenge to overcome. Their entire technological advancement appears driven by military innovation, HFY noted, her scales now pale with shock. Metallurgy, chemistry, electronics, aerospace engineering, all accelerated by warfare applications. The most unsettling revelation came when they examined human tactical doctrine. Other species fought until victory became impossible, then negotiated or retreated. Humans seem to possess an inexplicable willingness to continue fighting regardless of odds, casualties, or rational assessment of their chances. This Alamo engagement, Zephyrian said, his harmonic voice cracking slightly. Fewer than 200 defenders against several thousand attackers. The outcome was mathematically certain from the beginning, yet they fought to the last individual, and somehow this defeat became a rallying cry for future victories. As they dug deeper, patterns emerged that challenged everything the alien scientists understood about warfare and survival. Humans routinely accepted casualty rates that would cause most species to surrender immediately. They developed weapons designed not for clean, efficient kills, but for maximum psychological impact on enemy forces. Their military history was filled with tactical innovations born from desperation, technical solutions to problems that should have been insurmountable. Dr. Zephyrian, HFY said quietly, her usual academic composure completely shattered. I believe we've made a significant error in our initial assessment. The Altarian scientist stared at the holographic display, which now showed a timeline of human conflicts spanning millennia. Every century revealed new innovations in warfare, new adaptations to hostile environments, new examples of their species' apparent inability to recognize when they were defeated. Indeed, he replied, his crystalline appendages retracting defensively against his carapace. These aren't primitive creatures who stumbled into global dominance through luck or exaggeration. The evidence was undeniable. Humans were the ultimate predators of their world, not despite their physical limitations, but because they had learned to transcend them through technology, tactics, and an apparently boundless capacity for organized violence. Every disadvantage had become an opportunity for innovation. Every defeat had taught them lessons that made future victories possible. What do we tell the Council? HFY asked, her voice small and uncertain. Zephyrian considered the question carefully, reviewing the cascade of data still flowing across their screens. Images of human warfare throughout history, from Bronze Age battles to nuclear weapons, from individual combat to planetary siege engines that existed only in their theoretical studies. We recommend immediate acceptance of their Council application, he said finally, and we suggest that our first diplomatic priority should be ensuring that humanity considers us friends rather than threats. The two scientists sat in uncomfortable silence, both contemplating the same terrifying realization. They had just discovered that the galaxy's newest applicant species wasn't seeking membership in the Council for protection or resources. They were joining as equals among civilizations that had never truly understood what the word war meant until now.